Hello and welcome to Broker Than You. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz is a proud supporter of our podcast network and Broker Than You, and he loves us very much. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl and Rennell Jump. They specialize in tax planning for businesses large and small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. And with me, as always, the king of real estate in Erie, Pennsylvania, Laban Marsh.
Good to be with you, brother.
And our entrepreneur extraordinaire, the owner of FreshFold Laundry Company in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Nedvonne Young.
Fresh. What's up, y'all? What's
going on? Himself. Okay, so last week we talked about OPP and other people's money, and
OPM.
I was kidding. I said it on purpose. Yeah. Now we are talking about networking, So we know who needs to be in the network now. How does somebody actually go and build this? Practically, what do they do this week? Because in networking, it's not something that you realize you need and then you go out and get it. It's something that has to be done over time. So Laban, looking through a real estate lens, What are your thoughts on networking?
So, networking is vital. Your network is your net worth, they say a lot of times. I was fortunate. I was exposed to a book about 20 years ago written by an author named Tim Templeton, who wrote a book called Referral of a Lifetime. And what I learned the most from that book is, first of all, you have to have a database, right? Contact resource management, CRM, whatever you want to call it. And for us in our local multiple listing service, we have basically a built-in CRM that lets you put in your client's information, birthdays, anniversaries, any chance to touch and reach out to them. And so that's number one, where you can get yourself a database of your networking people. And then what Tim Templeton says is you ABCD your list. And what that means is your A clientele are the ones who refer a lot of business to you. They love you. They rave about you. They share your feeds, your posts, all of that. The B client is somebody who you're an acquaintance with, a little bit, you've been referred to, and just a B scale. Then the C is somebody who from just being out in the business world. And so you want them on your list, even though you haven't necessarily made contact. And then the D is from that list. If they're of service to you, none whatsoever, you delete it, right? And so that keeps a refined database of who you should network with. And there's a difference in networking, like face-to-face, going to different events, things like that, which make a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, if you're not following up with your database and your contacts, that's where you miss out. And the other thing, I know Fresh has pointed this out before too, like your network, you don't want to just lean on them of times of need, right?
Exactly.
And it made me think about, my HVAC guy who is fantastic, pre-heating and cooling here locally. I graduated with my buddy Mike. And it's like every once in a while, if I need something for HVAC, I'll send him a text. And then I see the text before was also a need for HVAC service. Like I need to just reach out to him and grab lunch, but I know he's real busy.
Hang out with him, right?
Yeah, because again, he's a buddy of mine, but I hate that I only lean on him when I need things. And so that's something. Now he's a client of mine. He purchases home from me. But I don't stay in touch with him enough about his real estate needs as I do my HVAC needs. And so I think those are some things that in networking, live by the golden rule. Like, be the hype man for others people's business so that they will want to help you network and market your business. And so for me, it was Tim Templeton's referral of a lifetime. And then it's staying consistent with following up and reaching out. The last thing I'll say, my mother's really great at this, where during the like Halloween, I think Wendy's gives you, free Frosties, right? For kids.
They do? Oh.
They do. Well, you're not a kid, so you might not get it.
No.
But my mom gathers these up and then sends them to her clients who have young children. And so it's little touches like that make a major difference in people, or birthday cards or anniversary cards. So I think there's so many opportunities to grow your network. And part of it is just living by the golden rule. And it'd be nice if I received a thank you note every once in a while. So then be the one to provide the thank you note. It's just like the law of reciprocity. What you give out comes back. And I think in networking, that's a vital component, is to trying to help other people's business versus asking for help from yours. Like there comes a point for that, but you have to establish that rapport, and you have to be willing to provide services and opportunities for others in order for you to receive that.
Yeah, Fresh, we're talking about building your network, like Laban said, before you ever need it. What are your thoughts about that and getting into it, and how to start it, cultivate, and grow it before you ever have to, ask for some help?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned this before, man, I mean, this topic, Laban said it earlier, your network is your net worth. And it's very important that you build before you need it. Like a lot of times, we find ourselves, people want to, you think about, looking into having a lender friend when you need a loan, or looking to, have somebody to partner with or something like that. Once you find a deal, you need to start to cultivate these relationships early on. And believe it or not, you probably already have started these are for like some of the new investors and people who are just kind of getting the biz. You probably have some of these relationships already. And you should put yourself in, people, like if you look in your network, somebody who, sells life insurance, or somebody who might be a real estate, broker or agent. I remember when I was in New York, I didn't even realize this. I had a former teacher who, when I was transitioning out, we were leaving New York. I was a real estate agent for a number of years, but then as we started to transition and we were about to leave, I didn't want to work with with certain companies, so I needed to hang my shingles somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my former teacher. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a broker." She was like, "Yeah, I'll hang it. You can hang your shingle with me." So I hung my shingle with her for a few years while I'm in Maryland, just to keep my New York license active, because I was still coming back and forth doing some transactions every now and again. So sometimes you already have the network. You just have to have these conversations, speak with people, cultivate them, build them up, because you have these opportunities to do things, and you would never know how deep your network goes unless you start to unless you put yourself in position to stay on top of things and be in touch with people to know that you have it. So it's very important to kind of, as you are just growing, just go to the little networking meetings, the coffee meetups, walk your neighborhood, reach out to certain people, check in on your neighbors. You should be surprised. You have some of these relationships built, and it's going to benefit you down the road, because people start to do business. Initially, they do business with people they like.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to do business with people you like. So if you're a likable person and, leaning on,
I'm likable
with being someone's hype man, right? So if you're a hype man for people like being hyped up. Yeah. So you're going to be liked because you're hyping somebody up. And once you are aware that this person does this, like you should know who's a dentist, who's who's in the medical field, who's in finance, who's in these different things. Those things will be beneficial for your network as you start to transition to start to invest in things. So yeah.
Right. Well, and I almost said it.
You can say it. Say the piggyback. You can piggyback.
Oh, dude, I did not.
Just mix it up. You got it.
Because you remember this winter, I encouraged one of our senior students, want my pole vaulters, to borrow my plow truck, use the plow. Well, about a couple weeks ago, his father reached out to me and just said, "Hey, listen, we're trying to handle." My father was a real estate investor. He still owns a couple properties, and we're getting to the point where we really need to try to liquidate these. And so, and what was great is he's like, we had to call you because you've done so much for our kids, who I coach both their children in the pole vault. Which, I mean, I can't say enough about, again, the reason he reached out to me is because he felt, without knowing he owned real estate or would be liquidating any real estate, I treated his son the way I would have wanted to be treated as an 18-year-old entrepreneur. And he recognized that to the point where, like, I want him to use me because I'm good at real estate. But there is, like, I think part of it, he felt obligated because I've poured into his children so much that he wanted to give that reciprocity back and give me the opportunity to generate revenue for my family. And that's where I think you have to give and live by the golden rule without knowing where the next opportunity is going to come from. And so I think, again, it's like, if you do things where you're only doing it so that you can get a lead, it will only last so long. You genuinely have to care about other people, do what's best for them, and then be ready to accept that level of reciprocity. It could come back in a week, a day, or 2 weeks. But in networking, always try to give out and then have open arms to receive, because you don't know where it's going to come from. And I know in some of those show notes that Fresh put together, opportunities where, for me, I'm not a big fan of networking. It's not my personality type. I think I'm introvert. So I don't, networking.
But that's okay.
Okay. Well, I believe I'm an extrovert with anxiety. I learned that from.
Yes, you are. You're an extroverted introvert. I know all about that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of you to be extroverted. Yes.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. It is. Yeah. It is. But that's a great start. So why do most people fail at this? Networking, and it is the great Steve Spiro, who was our guest, said that's not networking, it's making connections. Right. But, what's the mistake you see over and over, Fresh, when people try to make these connections, when people try to network? Are they trying too hard? Are they approaching it the wrong way? How do you feel like, or what the biggest mistake is when they want those connections so badly and, they struggle to make them?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things, man, that people do is they treat things as like it's a transaction. So they make things transactional. Like it's like, all right, what am I getting? Hey, can you do this for me? Like, and it's like people are green. I mean, I've seen this happen. I used to go to RIA groups back in the day. I used to go to a lot of RIA, is real estate investment associations. I believe they still probably have them. But we used to go to these RIA groups, and there used to be these new people who they were just treating it like, oh, okay. Everybody, I remember they used to just kind of add everyone to their buyers list as soon as you came in there. Like, most of the people that came in there were just like them. So they treated it like a transaction. It was very few people that were like the players in the room. Those are usually the people that didn't say much. They watched and sat back. And, when they had an opportunity to come up and speak, you would hear about their transactions. And then people would try to, flood and rush them. So don't make it transactional. People make the mistake because they make it a transaction. You want to have a genuine connection, because going back to, people will work with people who they like. And you have to go from a standpoint of, how can I provide value. Like I'm always that person. How can I provide value for somebody? Like how can I help someone? Right. So my thing is I'm always looking to do that. Right. You know, even simple. Like I was talking with one of our teammates yesterday, and I mean, I haven't had anything happen yet, but we were just talking about something yesterday, and he was telling me some of the stuff that's happened, you know, since we spoke the last few years. And I was asking him, I was like, well, what do you need? And then he was like, well, this is what I need. And I was like, all right, well, I was like, I got a couple phone calls to make when I get off the phone with you. That's how I am. I'm like, I'm going to.
No, I know you are. I know
try to be helpful and do some things. And so I got some stuff in the works. So I don't make things transaction. I try to add value. How can I add value to someone? Yeah. And my thing is if everybody at least thought that way a little bit, if you were always trying to add value to your relationships, to people, they would be so much better, because basically you and someone else trying to outdo each other and trying to just be helpful to one another.
You're going to help each other, and you're all going to gain worth because of it.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and I think one of the best things that you like in those type of networking events, one of the best things I ever heard that is a great like icebreaker, if you will, is just simply asking someone, what is your biggest challenge? Because it might be something that it could be revenue, it could be leads, like you just don't know. And yet, to Fresh's point, you might have, I don't know how to use AI. I don't know how to use the internet. Like there are so many things that you look at the surface of a business and you think you know what it needs. And then
I'm amazed you know how to use a cell phone, just so you know.
Well, but it's something that it's creating that dialogue to extract the information you're looking for, because if you can be the solution to pain points,
yes,
you will forever be making money. Like and then the other thing I recently heard that I told my business coach about, man, monetize your dopamine. Like whatever it is that gives you that rush of dopamine, try to monetize it, right? Whatever that might be. So, but as far as networking goes, it's getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. But what makes it more comfortable, if you're in there to try to help others versus going in and hoping they help you. Like, I think that's part of being an entrepreneur, is changing your mindset. Yeah. It really is. It's becoming more grateful, gratitude. I don't know everything, but I might be able to help you.
You do
know
a lot of
things. If you can help with the networking and you connect one with another, they're both grateful to you and feel a sense of, payment to you in some fashion. So keep building up those, those wins for others, and trust me, it'll start coming for you.
Yeah. Let me add a continuation to that. You see how you mentioned, like, you asked what someone's like, what did you say? What are
now your, that's a good transition right there.
Yeah. What is your challenge? Like
what is your biggest challenge? What is your biggest challenge?
And then I would add, what is your biggest challenge that if you took it off your plate, if you took it off your plate, it would give you more time to do some, to add more to your bottom line, or give you more time to do other things you like. So then you set the person up even further, like, okay, well, and they're like, oh, if I had this off my plate, and if it's something that you could do, you'd be like, well, I could take that off your plate.
Yeah.
Now you just served it up, that they just said, if you take this off the plate, it adds some more value. I can take it off your plate. And then you go right there. So you do things like that. So it was great. That was a great, like, kind of intro to the question, but then you want to set people up you want to set someone up for a yes, right?
Yeah.
For a yes, for an invitation. And
Yep.
So you could do that, or you can play it to where, and then once they answer that question, you can say, that's interesting. Here's some things that I do extremely well. And you basically describe,
sell yourself,
solving the problem.
It's a way to get into yourself.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant way to transition exactly into it. So, mistakes that people make. And like you said, leading with exactly what you want instead of what you can offer. That is traditionally the mistake people make when networking, whether it's at a chamber of commerce event, whether it's at a BNI event, whether it's at a fundraising event gala. People meet someone and instantly go into a pitch of what they want instead of what they can offer. So, Laban, what are your thoughts about that? Going in and just throwing out there, hey, this is what I need, this is what I want, and I'll get into what I can offer later. But I want to talk about what I want first.
Yeah, and I mean, it's okay. You want to have people understand what it is you offer, because I think there are a lot of times where there's mixed signals, or if your offerings are too broad, like that can get challenging. Coach Rapone used to say you can only serve one master, but it's like you have to know your focus.
I have to take a time out for a second. Coach Rapone is coming to homecoming, and he wanted me to tell you that because you have to come to homecoming. He said
Coach Rapone coming to this homecoming?
Yes, because he's retired and he's coming to homecoming, and he said because I talked to Laban and Nedvonne that you guys have to come. So
I will be there, dude.
I'm just letting you know that. Yeah.
Well, I know Cam Pulley ran into him a couple weeks ago and sent me a picture with him. So I was about to hop in my car and go find him right then. So
he said there's a bunch of Raponisms that you guys used to say that he still uses in his
There's
back
tons
pedal.
of them, man. We got. You just had to be in one meeting to get one.
Oh,
that's what he said. Phil made it feel like I already know the guy.
Yeah, you don't know Nick Rapone?
No, he didn't.
No, I never played for him.
He
left after me.
Oh, yeah, he's your Italian uncle.
He's the greatest. I mean, Phil talked about him like he was Jesus Christ. I mean, he taught him everything.
That he has endured some of the most incredible losses, just family wise. I mean,
wow.
Remember when he lost his job at Pitt, he also lost his house and wife in the same weekend. He's been through some stuff, but man, he is resiliency. I mean, he was at Newcastle High School when he came up to recruit me, which is how Cam Pulley got there, and Nicky the Fish. But he was one of those coaches that just instilled belief in you. So I think that's where at the college level, like they're tough, hard-nosed. But I will never forget in the Berkshires walking down to the first morning of double sessions, and he looked at me. He's like, "Labes, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm a great coach. I'm excited." He's like, "Yeah, your mom's not here now." And I knew exactly what that meant. Like that is – he went from, these guys are salesmen. Like they are trying to get you to.
Oh, I know. Once they get you there, it's over. Then they're not nice anymore.
And what's great about Rapone though? It wasn't over. He just made me realize it's not going to be the same. But
no, it's different. Right.
Every time I saw him, his first question to me was, "How's mom? How's mom?" Yeah, like that dude. And I don't know if that's because of what he went through and endured, but the other thing that I really appreciated about him, because he knew my faith, and he's like, "Yeah, we got a lot of Christians on the team." I'm like, "Dude, that's awesome." And then I get to the practice, and these guys are cursing up a storm. I'm like, Nicky Rapone and I have a different description of
dialogue. Yeah.
But what's great is that I learned to be more open-minded and accept people, because when you step in between the lines, many of us know. I was just talking about this the other night. Like the switch that gets flipped, like it's in locked position once I get in between the lines. And so I'm not saying I don't act like a Christian on the field, but there is something that just changes. And most people that have been in the field of it, they understand. For those that have never played football, college football especially, or whatever level, you just won't understand. But yeah, his intensity was something that I learned probably right out of the gate. I mean, just that level of intensity. And if you don't pick it up, you will be sitting on the bench. And then learning vicariously.
Yeah, no, of course.
It was imperative that you took reps vicariously through the man in front of you, because if you got into that position,
you had to take the mental reps.
Doing,
yes.
Oh, you're just leave. So I don't know how I was answering that question. You interjected with Nick Rapone.
No, I had to, because Phil yelled at me and made sure that I had to tell you guys. Listen, it was a mandatory meeting. So,
of the homecoming though?
Yes, it's the North Carolina game, I believe.
That's the game I was planning on coming to. We playing UNC 4 homecoming. Is wild.
I don't have the.
You think it's September or October? Usually,
I think it's October. I think it's October.
Okay.
So Fresh. I mean, same thing with you. I mean, you talked about it as well. Leading with what you want instead of what you can offer, and I think that's such an important aspect of building connections and networking. If you're going in with what you want, I think people are going to tune you out more than if you go in with, hey, this is what I can do. This is what my business does. This is what I have to offer. It's the whole, catching more flies with honey thing. I think it's going to be more of a draw. Do you feel the same way or have had similar experiences?
Yeah. So I think, we have to, you can look at stuff from different levels. Like, I like to break stuff down from a micro level, right? So
yeah, you're very analytical. I know.
Again, remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about building a network before you need it. So the process of doing that, right? And then we're going to, that's the macro thing. The micro is how to build it, right? How you go about doing it. And, you're bringing up, that's a mistake people make by leading with what you want first, right? So we want to kind of highlight some of these mistakes so that you can understand like what not to make. So yes, people make those mistakes? And the question is, why do you make those mistakes? Because you're green, right? You're green, you don't know, or we only know what we know, right? And we don't know what we don't know, right? It sounds like, simple and it's not weird, but the bottom line is, so that means, how do you fix that? You become more aware, know more, you become more well-read, you listen more than you talk, right? I tell kids, athletes, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, for you to listen twice as much as you speak. So make sure that you listen and that you approach these things different, because really in the process of building your network, it's a dance, right? So
it really is.
It's a dance. So you have to know how to, how to maneuver, how to change the pace of when the music speeds up or it slows down, right? You can't slow dance to every song, right? Sometimes you slow dancing with a partner, sometimes you line dancing or sometimes you're doing things to where people can see that, oh, this person has skills. So you have to do those things to put yourself out there, but it's a dance. It's not just about what you offer. And if you sit back and kind of listen more, especially on the front end, and then you'll listen, you'll find people will tell you their problems. You don't even got to really ask them sometimes. Yeah. You just tell them your problem. So people tell you what they have a problem with, and then you can just be the problem solver. That's definitely a mistake that people make, leading with, what I want, opposed to trying to see what's going on.
Yeah, I got a lot of problems. So
can I humbly admit something that I think is a terrible attribute? And it's, I think a lot of us do it out of almost defense or assimilation, but the one up, right? If somebody tells you,
I hate that,
you have a bigger problem. Like, I think that's where you got to be careful in networking, because it is just such a turnoff when you try to share with somebody your challenges and they're like, oh yeah, I had to deal with that too. And that, so I think to Fresh's point, just be a better listener and not so quick to react to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you know who the greatest one-upper in history is?
Who?
Tommy Collins.
Is he really?
If I told Tommy Collins that I climbed Mount Everest, he would say I climbed Mount Everest with 50 pounds on my back in an hour faster than you.
See, and do you think he's cognizant of that? Do you think he realizes he does that, or is that just I think
no, he just does it. He just does it.
But there's something about
it's
that.
amazing.
Right? Yeah. I love the psychology of it. You would think it almost, because I know Tommy's super confident. It's not a lack of confidence. There is something there where it's like, I got to prove to you that I've been there also.
Yes.
And I think, you know what I mean? We just have to be careful with that, because I mean, people want to know that you understand where they're coming from. But like when you make their challenge less challenging than yours, it defeats the whole purpose of being a solution and helping people.
Yeah, and you're going to be less open about it. I mean,
right. I think because if
embarrassing.
you share with somebody and every time you share something,
They're like,
come
oh,
back.
I did that. It wasn't so hard. Fuck.
So I know, I don't know, I do. I feel like I'm getting better at it, but it's just something I have to work on because again, it's kind of like being the hype man. You want to hype other people up. You don't want to
Yes.
hype people so that it leads to your hype.
Yes.
People can see through that genuine sincerity, if you will.
Now, you had already kind of talked about this, but it was only reaching out when you need something, and that obviously isn't the best way to build relationships. But collecting contacts instead of building relationships. You may go around, get 100 cards, get 100 phone numbers. That's not the same as building networks, building connections. You have to cultivate, and you have to water and put fertilizer and do all that shit to get that relationship and network to grow. You just can't collect them. You got to take care of them, right?
Yeah, well, you have to take care of them, but I think the biggest thing is like and I'm wearing the T-shirt. I was at Shinnecock for the U.S. Open, and there was a guy.
Oh yes, I got
over in Long Island. I didn't, and that's the other thing. I didn't know the Hamptons were on Long Island.
You went to that
2 weeks ago. I thought the Hamptons were like Martha's Vineyard or something off on
No.
You
went to the Hamptons?
It's like
God
Martha's
damn it.
Vineyard, but it's his own. It's more like Cape Cod than Martha's
You were
Vineyard.
right by me. Oh God.
Was I right by? You're not near. Long Island.
No. I mean, you're like 3 hours away. It's 3.
Well, I came south, but I was on a shuttle. I was on a shuttle with a guy who had just left his corporate job, and he's starting a branding for golf with a couple partners. And so he texted me, or he gave me his business card, and then he told me one of the guys that they sponsor was actually playing in the Open. And so it was one of those things where I had his card, but I made sure that I sent him a text when we saw his guy come through, just so I had, again, build a little rapport. I have his number in my cell phone. And it's something where, again, just every once in a while, reach out and say, hey, how's your buddy doing on tour? You know what I mean? Like, stay connected and be like, you can't just get the information, stick it in your phone, and then not follow up. Like,
no,
whatever it is, it's similar to the birthdays and anniversaries. If you see somebody on Facebook that just had something great happen to them, reach out to them in a more direct way,
because it means
and congratulate and let them know that you recognize that. I think there's so many ways to build rapport with people. And again, being a hype man for others is the best way to have people start hyping your business. And so that was just an experience where, again, super nice young kid. Not sure what he expected from that. Actually, I remember now his brand was Fringe Golf. And what was great, and this is where with networking, I need to reach out to Chris Nowinski, because the brand, with every piece of golf apparel sold, both partners had parents that passed of dementia. And so what they do is proceeds from every product goes to help Alzheimer's and awareness. And so as soon as he's telling me this, I'm like, dude, you need to connect with Chris Nowinski. Chris Nowinski is the CTE guy. And so, I think that's the other thing. Like I have become programmed to, as soon as I meet somebody like that, I'm thinking of yeah. I mean, it's just, how can I be a benefit to this individual who isn't expecting really anything? And I think if you're the one that assertively goes out and tries to support their business, they start to look out to help you. And so I think it's so important to assertively go and try to network and find how you can help others. And it's amazing how it'll start coming back to you.
Now, Fresh, Laban kind of brought this up, but a lot of people make a mistake of networking or making connections only up. They want to go up the ladder, ignoring their peers and people who are earlier in their journey, who may be just starting out. What do you think about that? What's your experience with that? I mean, are there equal opportunity networkers and connectors? I mean, should you always look to help people below you and above you?
Yeah, you should be networking vertically and horizontally. That is the way you should be doing it. I would look at it like this: like so me and Laban, we came in with the same class, right? You're a different class, right? Let's just say if we only interacted with the seniors to try to to build off of just the seniors, we would have a relationship with them, but then they're leaving, right? And then we'd have to start all over again. Opposed to we build relationships with the seniors, with the upperclassmen, as well as with our peers, and then also build relationship with the people behind us. So if you always, you're looking up for guidance, you're reaching out to people on your level to help and for help. And then as you get to a certain place, you want to reach back down to the people and help pull some people up. So you always want to extend up, out, and back, so that you have a reach. And that's how you truly build this network of just people that you can rely on and they can rely on you. So always look at it as there's always it's not a a myopic thing. It's just not, you don't want to have just tunnel vision. It is a all-encompassing thing of just like when you're building up your network. You want it to be free-flowing. Things flow into you and things flow out of you. So that's how it should be.
Okay. And you mentioned Proverbs. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Relationships built on mutual growth outlast relationships built on convenience. And that is so true. The network tiers, who do you actually need? So if we're building a network the right way, who actually needs to be in it? Break down the tiers for us. And Laban, the first tier, capital connections. You talked about some of the private lenders, the capital connections, the tier one, the investors. What are those like? Breaking down those relationships.
Well, I think when you look at on the financing side and the capital, so often we go to traditional banks, which here in Erie, we have a couple local banks. But within each bank, there are certain rules and policies. And so what you want to do, like I have a relationship with a pretty high executive in a local bank. And what's great is the way he helped me. And that's the other thing. It's one thing to refer business that you've not used. It's another thing to refer business that you've personally utilized and can speak for. And that is by far the best kind. But I found this, the guy runs one of the locations, but anytime I have somebody looking for financing, like go to him first. Now he will lay it all out for you, what his bank can offer. I love using local banks. And so knowing if you have somebody within your network who respects you. So I'm not going to send him some yahoo that doesn't have their things together, their finances and all that. I'm going to put people in front of him that are prepared and ready for him. Right. And I think that's where part of what we're talking about is the tiers and when do you need what. But having somebody at the local level in a traditional bank is huge because a lot of times they will also know, and yes, they want your business, but because they're not necessarily commission-based, they're employed by the bank, like they can often offer you names of individuals that use their services, but also are more broadened and might be able to help them out outside of the institutional bank. So it goes into that networking thing where this guy who's in charge of the bank knows people outside of the bank. So if you come to him, he will be honest with you to tell you this is what our bank can do. And maybe you want to look out to some other options, right? Whereas a lot of times when you send people, they're going to do whatever they can to retain that business versus doing what's best for that client. I think that's what I'm trying to. So depending, the tier is one thing. but having people in your network that understand how to read what people really need versus what they say they need. And that comes with experience, especially in the financing side. Because like for us, we had I used him on our addition when we did the addition. And as I sat with him, it's like, well, our first mortgage is at 3.125. It did not make sense at the time to refinance that whole loan into a new loan. And so he understood we wanted to keep that. So we did a second, which the rate is, I think, 5.25, a little higher rate. But it was something where he understood, like, yes, he would love that whole new loan amount, but he knew that didn't make sense for me as his client. So he offered me the best he could with what my scenario was. But if I had a banker that said, oh, no, you're really going to refinance that into a 2% higher interest rate, like, you need to be able to recognize somebody who is not looking out for your best interest and somebody who sincerely is looking at your picture. And even if they offer the service, if they tell you to look elsewhere because of your circumstances, like, foregoing the business for your best interest, that's imperative. And that takes building, that network to know who it is you can trust and who it is. Like, yeah, they'll be able to help you with financing, but don't expect them to offer too much advice, right? They'll get it done. But if you want somebody to see, hey, is this the right move? Go with this person. So I think understanding your network and who you can put where is vital. And so, again, I think understanding on the financing side, and then with each tier comes a cost, basically, right? Your traditional bank is probably the least expensive. As soon as you start getting into more, what do they call, creative financing, it's going to cost a little bit more. And that could be because of the bank or the financer, or it could be because of you and your circumstances and how you're asking for it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Fresh, that was the first tier. Tier 2 is deal flow and opportunity. Real estate agents, wholesalers, business brokers, industry insiders, the people who see opportunities before they hit the open market. Being in their core circle means you hear about deals before everyone else does.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think so. I think listeners definitely need to know, right, about these tiers, right? So we're calling them tiers, right? People may call it different things, but you need to know there's levels to everything, and you need about all of these, right? And just break it down, right? And we're gonna cover it's pretty much 5 tiers, just to throw it out there, right? We got our capital connections, deal flow and opportunity. You have skills and service providers, peer networks, and then mentors and advisors, right? We're going to touch on those, but specifically deal flow and opportunities are very key, because if there's no deal, right? If you need an opportunity, sometimes that's all you need is an opportunity. You can mess up and still make money on a deal, right? Just for bringing the person a deal, someone can go, you know what? I see you don't really know what you're doing. I'm going to help you along to get this first deal done. Or, hey, I'll handle these parts. You do this one part, and you can go ahead and get inside of a deal and start to see how things play out and move along that way. I think that's very important. So, and even with my knowledge about different things that I've done, that was something I was going through just recently with me with a deal of affordable housing deal here in Chapel Hill I was working on. So I knew about this opportunity. It was an RFP, and it was an opportunity to help bring affordable housing to the Chapel Hill area. And I'm like, and it still is. And it's like, hey, but at the same time, I knew where my strengths are, what I could do and I couldn't do. Like, I couldn't handle that project by myself. So I had already had in my network a developer who had just did a 600 unit project in the town over in Durham, and I knew people that were local politicians who had influence and can help move the needle with certain things. So I made sure I tapped into this network of people that I already knew ahead of time, and they put me on to other people. So I had to make sure once I had a deal, I had an opportunity. I started to put together the pieces from these different tiers of people to help get this, to start working towards it, to move towards at least to to be considered for the opportunity, because you know, a request for an RFP, a request for a proposal, a request for an RFQ, a request for a quote is just that. We put something out there. Hopefully we win it, right? We'll hear back in action in a few days because it's in July. But it's one of those things where all of these tiers, you have to touch on all of them, right? And I had to, for the most part, touch on all of 5 of them just to get in there. But I'm the one that initially saw the deal and the opportunity, and I presented it to my network, and they all came together and was like, okay, let's go ahead and put in on this. Let's try to get this thing done. So it's very important to know that you have the deal, or you be the person that brings the deal, or you are aware that what a deal looks like and who you can pull together to help execute it in this network that you ideally built before the opportunity came.
Go ahead,
Dude,
Laban.
You see it in my face there, Steve. Well, it's interesting because as you say that, I remember it was 2007, right? This is many moons ago. And my wife and I were living in a little house on Marsh Street because they're not going to name a street after me. So I bought a couple homes on that street, which I still own. And I found a parcel with 52 acres and then a 2-acre parcel with a ranch home on it. And so I presented it. I wrote the offer up, put it on our kitchen table, and waited for my wife to get home. And she's like, what are you doing? I am not buying this 52 acres with a 2-acre ranch. Like, it doesn't make, and if it was that, this is what she said, if it was that good of a deal, somebody already would have done it. And so, of course, I'm skeptical and whatever else. And I knew my wife didn't want to do it. And so it was at that point where I knew it was such a good deal that I reached out to my brother who had already been investing with me, my brother Lucas. And then I reached out to 2 other brothers who I had represented as their agent. And then one other buddy of ours who was a contractor. And so we had Lucas in marketing, me as a real estate broker, a contractor, an accountant, and a financial advisor. Those were the 5 of us that got together. And just like I presented
all 5, you hit all 5 of them, all the tiers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's when my wife said no. I'm like, hey, listen, I think this is a great opportunity. So I presented it to the 4 of them, and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And so on August 17th of 2007, we closed on that first property. And I told this story because this is that same group that had the $300,000 unsecured line of credit that lent us to start Marsh Team Realty. And so in regards to the network, though, like my wife and I had been investing together for 4 or 5 years at the time, 3 or 4 years. And I wanted to get bigger as far as investing and, you know, broadening my horizon and my scope. And so I told her, I'm like, well, I'm going to find somebody that wants to do this deal. And literally, we just finalized that partnership. And I think we had acquired 12 properties at the peak, and we now own nothing together. But it was a great 20-year run that basically stemmed from, I have a great deal. I know it's a great deal. I just have to find others who believe in it. And it literally led to a partnership of 20 years that was extremely fruitful for all of us until it wasn't. But that the idea of Fresh's point, where you have a deal that's so good, whether you're the bird dog or whatever aspect, there are people in your network that are already in your network that you just need to reach out and say, hey, does this make sense to you? Or, hey, does this make sense? And if they give you the, I don't, you know, you just don't go to them again.
Yeah.
But that
next person.
Yeah. One of those partners, though, that, you know, we don't own any real estate together anymore, but he is one of my top advisors. I mean, the guy is a part of so many businesses. He's extremely knowledgeable. And he's probably, if I get jammed up with a business decision, he's one of the first person I reach out to. And so that partnership or that relationship stemmed from me having a great deal and wanting to see who else believes in what I see. And so I think don't sell yourself short just when one person says, no, I'm not, that doesn't sound like a good deal. If you know in your heart of hearts that you have a great opportunity, you better learn to sell. And I think that is a part of networking that we don't talk about. You are selling yourself and what you can do and your network when you get into these opportunities that you don't know how long it will last or what it could turn into. And I think that's what is so exciting to me as an entrepreneur is every day something new happens and you never know who you're going to run into that is going to be that next incredible partner that takes you to a whole new level. But that requires humility, because if you think you're the one to do them all the time, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities where people want to reach out to you. But if they think you're stuck in your ways and you're not malleable, they might not bring it to you. And so again, be diverse, have different, opportunities within your realm, so that you can, if this person says, yeah, that's not really my gig, okay, well, the next thing might be, whether it's laundromats or, different type of investments. Fresh was talking about real estate investment, teams and associations. And so finding, I think as you grow that network, in doing so, you should be looking for partners. Like
Exactly.
I'm a big believer in partnerships, and then laying them out the right way with fully understanding expectations. It can be a great thing and a great way to compound your wealth.
Exactly. And you talked about this, your peer network, other entrepreneurs and investors, and you're working together and for a common goal, and you never know who you're going to run into, and their referrals and the real friendships that you have. You never know what they can do for you. You never know what you can do for them. And it's not a tier that you can skip. It's often the most valuable long term. Fresh, something you have always talked about, mentors and advisors, people further down the road than you. A 5-minute conversation with the right mentor can save you years of costly mistakes. Correct?
Correct. I would say for sure. Like you definitely, like you said, we talk about this all the time about mentors and advisors. Labe has a coach.
Trevor.
It's always, yes, Trevor. Shout out to Trevor. It's one of those things where you got to have someone that you can learn from, or you can lay your problems out. Someone that's been there before, right? You don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Correct.
In the process of us talking and going through this, I kind of thought about, how you have the ABCs of selling, Labe. Always be closing. Be closing, right? I thought of an acronym for this, like for building a network, and then I have ABB, right? Always be building. always be building. So abs. So yeah. So I like that. So it's one of those things where, like, if you're constantly building your network, if you're always growing that thing, it'll continue to build. And the way that you do that is, the good thing about these advisors and mentors, they usually have a ton of resources, and a lot of times you can lean on their resources, and that will continue to help you build. And then the thing is, as we talked about before, about reaching up, side, and back, make sure that at some point, you give back as a, you will want someone, you lean out, you give to your peers, but sometimes you were green, you came in, you were a newbie, but at some point you become, hopefully, if you stay in the business, you got to stay in it, right? You got to be in it to win it. You stay in the game, you'll be in a position to where people are going to look at you as the mentor, the advisor, and you just make sure that you keep, you sharp, you keep your iron sharp, right? So that you can share and pour into someone else. So make sure you have a well of knowledge, so that you can continue to pour into people behind you. So you want to seek out mentors and advisors and have them to help you not make mistakes and save tons of money. You will, because they've done it before you. But then you also want to make sure that you take on that title at some point as well.
Yeah. And Laban, what's really important? Everyone needs to get their laundry done. I mean, do you do your laundry?
It's funny. I just threw a load in my washer before I came down here, because the beauty of laundromats is that it's somewhat passive, in that once you get that in there, it runs on its own, and then you got to, nurture it. It's nurturing just like anything else. It's paying attention and being consistent with it. So
Yeah.
I'd FreshFold though, probably if he was a little closer. If I was within his 30-mile range, he'd be getting a family of 6 laundry quite soon.
And you know who nurtures laundry better than anyone? It's the FreshFold Laundry Company in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's a high-end laundry service. They do pickups and deliveries. You call, you can put your laundry out in a clear plastic bag. They will pick it up for you, wash, dry, and fold it, and have it done within 48 hours. They also offer an expedited service. You don't have to enter a laundromat. You don't have to bring a bag of coins into a laundromat. They take care of everything for you. When you get your laundry back, it is nicely and neatly done in a Japanese fold and wash dry. It smells beautiful, and you can place it anywhere. They have deals for college students in the Chapel Hill area. So if you live in a dorm room, please call or go to the website and set it up, because FreshFold will take advantage and make sure that you have clean clothes and go out for the weekend and maybe meet a nice boy or girl, and don't waste that opportunity. So FreshFold Laundry Co., Chapel Hill, North Carolina, please check out their website. It is my-freshfold.com to get all your laundry needs done. Right, Laban?
That's right.
For sure.
I go to Fresh.
Yeah.
FreshFold. What is a Japanese fold? Is that
No. Remember that we had a
commenter.
We had a commenter who was like, "Oh, he's using the Japanese fold."
Yeah, it's a economic way of folding to just make sure that things can fit.
He was
it's like
impressed.
A uniform way of folding it, and I like to do certain things so that it doesn't fall apart when you pick it up. You know, a lot of times you got a shirt, pick it up, it just boom opens up.
Right now.
Yes. I got ways to fold things to where you can toss it like a frisbee, and then it's good to go.
Get it in a bento box.
So Fresh. I mean, we know who needs to be in the network or a connection. Now, how does somebody actually go and build this practically? What do they do today or even this week to begin to even start a network or expand on their network?
Man, you know how it is. Start where you are. Like, you don't have to go reach out all over the place. Start where you are. Start with your group of friends. You know, if anybody's ever done any kind of sales, especially if you did insurance or something like that, they always tell you, "Hey, make a list of your 100 closest friends," right? And then you make a list of those people and try to get you to call them and do that. Like, I think that was a way that worked for many, many, many years. I think that worked. And but I would say, when I say start where you are, I mean there's local, your local area, local businesses, your local government, chamber of commerce. Like, you have these local groups, you have local RIA groups. If you're in real estate, you have business meetups. You have what I like to do, and I like to encourage people to, when you build your network by going to to events that are not related to business, like not related to industry, because then now you're the person that stands out. Like, a real estate agent, you'd be better off going to a weekly or monthly dance meetup class. Go learn how to dance. Like, believe it or not, man, I used to go to there was a Fred Astaire dance studio in Tallahassee we used to go to. And we would go there for fun, but I started seeing it was people from all over. It was students, it was people that did so many different things. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this person worked here. Oh, I work for the government. I work here. I go to Florida State. I go to FAMU. You meet different people. So you try different things. Like, don't go to, again, if you're real estate, you can go to the RIA groups, but you shouldn't only be going to the RIA groups. You should be going to, sign up, go to if they have whatever association, dinner association, chamber of commerce, be a member of that.
Yeah.
Do things. Go to a Toastmasters. Like go to
you gotta put yourself out there.
Put yourself out there. And
they're not in every town, but I think that's Toastmasters to me is that get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the 30-second elevator pitch. It's it's just having an understanding of what you do and what you want to convey. And one thing that I would leave with is when you're done talking to somebody, it's a great way to get them thinking is if you would say, like, who is the next person that you think could need my service? And what happens is they start to churn, like, hey, who have I heard that's saying they're looking to buy a house or whatever? And so we call them scripts and dialogues, but it becomes a natural part of your conversation when you are sincerely curious and you're looking to grow your business, to just say to somebody that hey, I realize you might not be looking to buy a home anytime soon, but who do you think would be the next person that that would be buying or selling a home? And would you mind giving me their name and contact information so I can reach out and be assertive with it? Like a lot of people will appreciate that. Some might think you're overbearing and a little pushy, but you might be surprised at how many people are like, oh, you know what? My cousin just said last week they wanted to start looking for a home. Sweet. You mind if I get their number?
Let's go.
Yeah, it's kind of untraditional or unconventional, but it's a little bit bombastic. I don't know what. Like it's a little.
I like bombastic. Bombastic is one of my favorite words. Yeah.
It's not quite the bucolic, but yeah.
Bucolic.
See, I don't even know.
So real talk and stories, wins, hard lessons. Fresh, can you give us a story, a real story, a relationship that you built long before you needed it that may have ended up paying off for you in some way or another?
Yeah. So I would say I have
I know you have a Rolodex of people, but
yeah, I'm unique in a way, like, I'm a part of many groups. I had a lot of growth, a lot of opportunities at UConn. And one of those is, is my fraternity. I'm an alpha. So I'm a part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And so my frat brothers, I have frat brothers that span like that are probably have done that are in almost every industry you could think of.
Correct.
And we're international.
Correct.
So I could give you a couple of things, like from a personal level, like, I know you guys, last year my father passed in August, and then now, like, my mom is still dealing with the probate stuff of him passing, and we come to find out
it takes a year.
It was like a wrongful death, which I didn't know from they end up, that he ended up passing of sepsis. So now we got a lawsuit that's going on. So, that's unfortunate. So we're going through that. But I'm able to call I have a frat brother that is
attorney.
That's an attorney that is he's a really good attorney.
Malpractice.
Just in general. I don't know about, but he, him and one of his partners, they're like, if I mention the name, you would know.
Yeah,
the name, this person that does a lot of work kind of throughout the country. But I won't.
Does he represent Karen Reed?
I don't know.
Okay. If he does, you need to tell him. That's all.
No. So, I would say, from a personal standpoint, right? So that network, I became an alpha back in fall of 2000. And so I became an alpha back then. So technically, when I became an alpha, I started building my network for almost any and everything that I do without that being the focus of it. But it was an offset from that. But I can call up, I was able to, I can call up, my frat brother that's an attorney. That's not a small thing.
No,
is like
a big firm,
high demand, and that boom, I can just get on the phone and say, hey bro, and then this is what's going on.
You get
And
direct
he'll
contact.
come back with information. Like recently, he just came back, gave me some information because he gave me some information about some stuff I got to do in Orlando. He gave me some contacts. So I'm disconnected there. That's just on a personal level.
That's
From a
huge.
business standpoint, I'm just leaning on my frat brothers. I have another frat brother who another frat brother that helped me get into more commercial real estate deals because he worked for a big firm. So it's a lot of that put me on to a couple projects that were like, hundreds of units and some development deals. So sometimes it's about, I built that in 2001, becoming a member. And as a result, I have access to things all over.
Yeah. And you also have my cousin who desperately would love to work with you. Laban, with you, I mean, is there a relationship that you can point to in Erie that you built years before maybe a deal happened, or how that relationship became the source of a deal down the road?
Yeah. Well, and it's a culmination of things. In 2010, I think I talked about a little bit how we were going to do our addition, and there was this PennDOT strikeoff letter. Well, one of the local politicians who's since passed away, Phil Fatica, rest in peace, great guy. He really respected me and my family and what we did. And so when they were having the big meeting for Walmart, he called me up to the dais to sit with the important people, of which I didn't think I was one. And it was a couple years later in 2011. No, it was 2012. So 2 years later, my mom asked me to go to this networking event, of which, as an introvert or extrovert with anxiety,
Extroverted introvert,
I wasn't real thrilled about going. But I knew that this was an opportunity. And so as we're leaving the event, my mom and I see Phil Fatica, and he's talking to another gentleman. And so I go in and say hello to Phil, and he says, hey, let me introduce you to this gentleman who I'll leave nameless. But the gentleman he introduced me he's like, oh, you're in real estate, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm broker at Marsh. He says, hey, my father needs to sell his 10 unit over on Buffalo Road. Would you be able to connect with him? I'm like, sure. This was in August. And so I connect with his father. His father has owned this place for the longest time. It was without a doubt the most challenging negotiation I have ever had to do. I mean, this guy started at like $550,000. We ended up acquiring it December 31st of 2012 because of tax implications that were going to change in 2013. So it was one of those things that I had known Phil Fatica. He introduced me to this guy who had known of me, respected me enough from Phil's referral to go look at his dad's 10 unit. When I looked at his 10 unit and negotiated with him, I'm like, dude, I want to buy this versus sell it. Would you be willing to sell it to me? And so he presented me with an opportunity in November, at which point I said to my wife, I'm like, hey, listen, we need to talk to your dad over Thanksgiving and see if he would want to invest in this with us. Again, had a great opportunity. Who's going to join me? And so we presented it to Ted over Thanksgiving. And by December 31st of 2012, we closed on what is now an 11 unit. It was a 10 unit when we bought it, but it's because this owner wanted 2 years of his garage that he was using personally rent free. No, I let him stay for a year. He moved out. I now collect rent on that. So that was one of those instances where, because I put myself out there politically and exposed our company to some opportunities that were shunned because of, the laws of the land, but that relationship that I formed with Phil, respecting me and my efforts, led me to this opportunity, a networking event that I didn't want to go to. My father-in-law and I still own this property. It'll be 15 years, December 31st. It's a great cash flowing property. And so it just reminds me, when there's opportunities for networking events and you're like, I really don't feel like going, I'm just not into talking to people.
You never know.
Think about the opportunities that you might run into, because they are abundant, and then look for it, expect it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think for me, when it comes to networking and building rapport, I mean, you can't start early enough, and it has to be with that service, the service leader's heart. Like, you have to want to serve others, and then that law of reciprocity comes back. And so, again, just everything you do it, as well as you can, so that when people see how it is you conduct yourselves, they want to be a part of that. They believe in you, and those people will go out and rave about you to others to help you with your networking, and then finishing up with opportunities that get presented with those. So yeah, I think networking and getting yourself around people, even in an uncomfortable situation, you never know who is going to connect you to the next great opportunity. So always be open-minded and be willing to serve others, and it tends to come back to you.
Fresh, we had a great discussion about networking and connections today, and the value they bring to you, your business, the difference they can make, the levels they can take you to. What would you want people to walk away with today after this discussion?
I want people to walk away with the new term I kind of coined, the ABB, right? So Labe said abs. Always be building, right? So I want you to always be building. This is all around you. You never know, like people say, we say that in real estate all the time, like you never know where your next deal is coming from. So always be nice, talk with people, ask questions, put it out there, see where people's problems are, what's going on with them. Because you never know where your next lead is coming from. You never know where, what's going on. You want to put yourself in that position. So always be building.
I love it.
Laban.
Yeah.
What would you like to see people come away from this discussion?
I think honestly, it's be curious. You know what I mean? And the old Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental. But I think, being curious is, there are so many ways to make a dollar. Like, I just think that the most important factor is to put yourself out there and start growing your network, getting yourself exposed to other people. And listen, you're going to run into people that you don't want in your network, and that is Tim Templeton's D. Like, delete them. If they're a draw from your energy, networking doesn't mean one big tent, right? It's what fits for you, and who can you serve that relationship will work out where, because I've done that before. Like, we have clients and it's like, hey, it might be better if somebody else works with you. You just know it's not jiving. So I think it's important to have discretion, but also throw it out there and see what sticks. Expose yourself. Like Fresh was saying, don't just go to if you want to invest in real estate, don't just go to a real estate investment group. Go to another group and you'll find investors there, because there are real estate investors in every aspect. But go for a different niche. Look at networking in a way that you just be curious and learn more about people, and you'll never know what will strike a chord and create an interest for you that you didn't even know was a revenue generator or something.
And I thought Fresh was 100% right when he said, listen twice as much as you speak. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth.
It's my word for 2026, and I talk a lot more than I listen still. I'm trying.
So for our viewers, your homework this week, reach out to one person in your network or someone you connect with. No ask, no agenda, just check in and see how they're doing. That's it. Do that consistently and watch what happens to your opportunities over the next year.
It's amazing.
Let's go, because the more you do it, the better things will be. So,
and the more natural you become with it, those
absolutely
roll off your tongue. The curiosity of what has done them well and what challenges they have. I think it's all great stuff. Yeah, be curious.
Absolutely, and thank you guys. Great episode. Awesome. I appreciate it. This was a phenomenal topic from our producer, Nedvonne, Fresh Young.
Fresh.
He did a great job producing this episode.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen. So. You're frozen.
Bro,
it's
but it's so solid. It's just
You just look angry. It's okay.
Mean Muggins, bro. Oh, he's back. He wants.
No, I tried to take him off to see if he can log back in.
Oh, we need him back in because I need to see the spin. Hey, and big shout out to America for 250 years.
Yeah, what are you doing for the 4th?
We're going up to the Albany. I'm going to see. Are you in
Old
Old Forge
that's where you're going. Yes. Yeah, you got to stop it. If you can stop in Old Forge, stop because it's on the way.
When are you
probably going. I'm probably going to go tomorrow.
Okay.
When are you guys leaving?
There he is. We leave actually. I was going to leave tomorrow, but Lincoln's baseball practice got canceled, so we're going to head up tonight.
You are.
Yeah, I might end up working my way back to you from the ADK. I don't know how far Old Forge is.
So do you take 90 all the way through and then go to Route 12 or no?
No, I usually take. I think it's Route 9, maybe up through Rome. Where's that?
Yes. Yeah. That's the same exit.
Okay,
that's the same exit. You have
there's
room
a big casino there, right?
Yeah.
Where we used to drop. I used to drop Jamie Harper on our drive home.
I would be like 40 minutes out of your way. You would come to Utica, you would go north to Old Forge, and then you would go over to you're in Lake George or
no? We're north of Lake George and Scroon Lake. I mean, I can come back. One of the days.
Just check the directions from where you are to Utica. See how far out of your way you are from. Go from you to Utica to Old Forge to where you're going. I just want to see that. And then go from where you are to Old Forge. Yeah. So just remember when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges.